Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flick Show. My name is Chris Wong. This is episode 342 of the Ping Pong Flick Show, now available on Spotify, Podbean, and also looking into iTunes still yet. Sorry for the delay, and also Google Play and SoundCloud as well. I'm trying to have it easily accessible to people out there who cannot have time to watch the video and want to listen to my podcast, wants to listen to my show. So I'm trying my best to do that for you guys. And in any case, there has been quite a few developments in DCEU. One major one, and I'm going to get to that in a little bit, but I want to give you a little bit tidbits that came out. One is being Harley Quinn as, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. A leak went out today, and there's an at DCU Israel on there. I know for you, the podcast who can't see this, I'm sorry. I'll see if I can tweet this one out. Well, I did. I think I retweeted it out, and I'll put the description below. Or if you're on a Podbean, or go to my YouTube channel at Chris Wong Swenson, or type in Ping Pong Flick Show. You'll find me there as well. But it's an interesting. It's not too much different than from what we've seen in the trailers, the teaser or pictures. She's got that pink top, but she's got a little bit more of that. Her overalls are on there, and it's a gold. It's kind of got a checker mark, like a jester almost. She's got the hammer there, which is sweet. But it's cool. Nothing groundbreaking, but it definitely shows you that they're really going to have a lot of costumes for her. They're going to have a lot of different outfits for her to be in the movie Birds of Prey, and which could be pretty exciting for people. I wonder if they're going to take advantage of this in a way to sell toys, right? Imagine Harley Quinn toys with a lot of different outfits, a lot more than what they've done before in Suicide Squad, and really just go out with a bang with it in terms of what they're going to do with Harley Quinn and also the other characters. But it's cool, nothing groundbreaking. But it's great to see a little bit of updates on Birds of Prey now here and there, and hopefully we'll get some kind of another trailer soon, because that's a lot of content that has been missing. And since we're not going to have them at San Diego Comic-Con and Hall H, we're kind of dying for some content from Birds of Prey, and it's good to see at least a little bit of a tease here. Next up is just a little bit of a tease. And I know Vahm at I Am Film Editors will let me know what I can talk about later on. But this is what he put out on Twitter. It's out. He says he got to kick it with the Scarlet Speedster himself, Ezra Miller. They got to talk about the Flash in the DC universe for a bit. Wink, and that's him right there, and that's awesome. And also that he also confirmed that he will be on his show, will be on Vahm's show. So I'm looking out for that. I'm gonna link the show in the description below as soon as I able to find it, and everybody check that out. So more updates from there, but that's just a little tease. Maybe they're getting to talk about the Flash. Who knows what's gonna happen to that? But I'm pretty excited about that, and I'm glad that we're getting to see a little bit of more of Ezra Miller outside of the Fantastic Beasts realm, and it'll be a pretty cool interview. I can't wait for that interview. I don't know when it's gonna be. I don't know how it's gonna be arranged and things like that. And I'm hoping Vahm will get back to me, and we'll get back to all of us on how it will go on. But things are going on. He's got confirmation and stuff like that he's gonna have him on his show for an interview, and hopefully he'll get to talk about what's going on in the DCEU. So more on that later, but I just thought I'd throw it out there. I know you're in podcast, you can't see the picture, but there is a picture of there. It's Ezra Miller and with Vahm. All right, now on to the biggest big, bombastic, biggest news of today. It's not the Snyder Cut yet, but it's getting there. I mean, we're one step closer by the day. After that Ringer article, that really opened up a lot of opportunities for us, including when all of us kind of like, I retweeted that whole Warner Brothers and Sarnoff, and everybody started commenting on that, release Snyder Cut and things like that. It got the attention of Business Insider. Well, and that was a big publication as well. That was like 2 point something million, right? Followers. This one, 13.8 million followers on Twitter. And this publication is The Washington Post. The Washington Post. Okay. There's that movie that went out called The Post. That was with Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks. The Washington Post. That's big. It's old. You know, maybe not many people read that anymore, but they do have some opinion articles in here and there. But just to be associated with the Washington Post, the Snyder Cut kind of associated with that, is a big deal. And I want to read you this entire article on this podcast for people who haven't had time to read the article and want to listen on their way to work or something. Here it is. The Washington Post. Headline: more than a year later, Justice League fans are ramping up demands to #release the Snyder Cut. And if you can't see the picture, there is Ben Affleck starring as Batman. Arrives at November 2017 world premiere of Justice League in Hollywood. That picture right there on that screen. Very interestingly enough, the Business Insider article also had Ben Affleck as the front page, like the first picture you see. Coincidence? Maybe. So this article is by Michael Kavanagh. More than a year and a half after Justice League debuted, the film shepherded by Zack Snyder and replacement Joss Whedon continues to fuel a longer-running tale laced with myth and intrigue. Boosted anew this week on social media, it's the ongoing narrative of fans who want Warner Brothers and DC to release an alternative edit of the movie. Not long after the November 2017 release of Justice League, which was considered a critical misfire and a commercial underperformer, the spark of hope to see a director's cut of the DCEU film was stoked by fans determined to believe a better full version, one helmed solely by Snyder, could well exist. That small bonfire of a campaign, which was continued to attract a cultish following of diehards, eventually became known by a simple rallying cry: #release the Snyder Cut. And this week, the Snyder Cut campaign capitalized on the latest change at Warner Brothers. On Monday, the studio announced that Ann Sarnoff, president of BBC Studios Americas, is its new chair and chief executive, as Variety first reported. The first woman to head Warner Brothers in its nearly century-old history, Sarnoff succeeds Kevin Sujihara, who was forced to resign amid scandal. Like students testing the new teacher who arrives mid-semester, the movement immediately implored Sarnoff to release the would-be Snyder Cut. After all, why not cannily step into the frame while the red carpet flashbulbs trained on Sarnoff are freshly popping? What this movement appears to revolve around most is a belief in Snyder, Man of Steel 300, is a superhero director and visual auteur, and that whatever sort of rough cut he delivered to Warner Brothers earlier in 2017, before Whedon took over, surely is more satisfying than the stitched-together product that fans saw on the screen. Last summer, a spokesman for Snyder told the Wall Street Journal that Snyder had never seen the theatrical version of Justice League, and shortly after the film opened, the wrap aimed to piece together Snyder's vision within it. This passion has spawned accounts on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, as well as GoFundMe campaigns and even the winning site for Snyder Cut, which explores such questions as, does the Snyder Cut exist? And how can you help get the Snyder Cut released? So does that unreleased Snyder Cut even exist? The debate burns on, but continuing to provide a point of renewable encouragement is word that Snyder's early version of Justice League was given to the studio before May of 2017, when it was announced that the director and his wife producer Deborah Snyder would exit the film weeks after the suicide of their 20-year-old daughter, Autumn Snyder. Snyder, after screening a rough cut of Justice League for fellow filmmakers and friends, wanted to add additional scenes, so he brought Joss Whedon on board to write them, The Hollywood Reporter wrote at the time. Of the transition, The Hollywood Reporter quoted now Warner Brothers Pictures Group Chair Toby Emmerich as saying, "The directing is minimal, and it has to adhere to the style and tone and the template that Zack set. We're not introducing any new characters. It's the same characters in some new scenes. He's handing the baton to Joss, but the course has really been set by Zack." What a bold-faced lie. I still believe that despite this tragedy, we'll still end up with a great movie. Whedon received a writing credit on Justice League, with Snyder getting the sole directing credit, but the movie release that fall felt very much like a mishmash of directing styles and sensibilities, a patchwork that left many fans frustrated with the result. Warner Brothers had more recent success with solo films featuring two Justice League members, with Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman and James Wan's Aquaman, further fueling hopes among some fans that a rough 3 or 4 hour Justice League movie with more eloquent depictions of Wonder Woman Diana and Sea God Arthur Curry might reside in the Warner Brother vault. This past spring, Snyder only spurred further interest in his auteur editing when he tweeted news of an event featuring his director's cuts of Dawn of the Dead, Watchmen, and Batman v Superman: The Dawn of Justice. That last one being another DCEU movie that, not unlike Justice League, was hotly debated by viewers. The key differences with those three previous movies, however, is that Snyder retained creative control en route to delivering a finished theatrical release. Not BVS, you know what I'm saying. Yet, in whatever condition a Snyder Cut of Justice League might exist, a tight band of films will continue their cause, and somehow Snyder must be grinning as long as his supposed version goes unseen. Then, in fans' minds, it can forever remain a cut above. Interesting. So, it's a mostly positive thing, but it's mostly a good outlook. It's nothing that, and it's a good way to see how the outside world views us, views our inner bubble here. Much like The Ringer, it may be, it's more seeming like he is not for, he cares more about the movement and how interested he's in this cut. And it doesn't have to be him being a fan of the movie. Just like The Ringer, Rob Harvilla was not a fan of Zack Snyder's work, but they're interested and probably want to see it as well. They're intrigued by the thought of the Snyder Cut. And for that and that to me is enough. That is that engagement alone, that thought, that curiosity, that this cut exists, and Zack Snyder has said it does exist, and Jay Oliva says it exists, but whatever. And that thought itself, that curious thought that there is a like you said, 3 to 4 hour, I like that, because 3.5 hours, 214 minutes, is out there in whatever shape or form. It exists. It's people are very curious about it. It's possibly even a different type of movie. There's lots of things we haven't seen before. to have that, just that interest alone from detractors, from people who don't even like the work that Zack Snyder put out, they at least are curious enough to write about it. They're curious enough to write in their, their articles, and that in turn gains interest from people outside of our bubble, right? This is the kind of stuff that would actually gain traction. It would gain the interest level, and Google search terms will go up. The SEOs will go up. The analytics will go up. Something that John Aaron had alluded to in his AT&T article, that he's saying we have to step outside the bubble. We have to gain the attention from the outside. And this is it. This is not a victory dance per se. It is a one step closer. I'd say, in my opinion, if Hollywood Reporter and Variety puts out an article about the Snyder Cut, then we can start turning up the music and starting to get ready for that victory dance. Because that means the trades itself, the Hollywood trades, the people that Warner Brothers uses to announce stuff or to relay information about projects or about their company in general, they're utilizing Variety and Hollywood Reporter to talk about a Snyder Cut. Until that day happens, we have to keep getting the word out there. And this is a big one. The Washington Post. The Washington flippin' Post talked about the Snyder Cut, guys. And that is amazing. That is more mass media, more out there, more in a different direction, more for people who read that stuff. And I sincerely hope that Ann Sarnoff, who, if she doesn't know already or isn't curious already, will pick up that article and look at that and read about that. And anybody else who want to whisper in her ear as she walks through the offices of Warner Brothers that say, hey, you know that Toby Emmerich guy? He bold-faced lied in that Hollywood Reporter. Look at that. It's evident enough, and for the longest time we've been pointing fingers at Kevin Tsujihara, Jeff Johns, and John Berg, but it's right there in that article. Toby Emmerich was the man. I think he is the very guy that he needs to be ousted or changed his mind before we're ever gonna see the Snyder Cut. And hopefully Ann Sarnoff is the person to do it. Hopefully she is the person to do that, and I'm confident that she is. But at the same time, I'm hoping what her thoughts and her ideals that she set forth is going to transfer realistically into the company, right? She's not just selling it, right? She's not just selling herself. There's people like that. Don't get me wrong. They just sell themselves, and they really do the actions that they say they will do. But I'm very hopeful for that. I mean, I'll bring you this choice quote, and I think I read this yesterday from that whole thing with Ann Sarnoff talking to, was it the Hollywood Reporter, about what she's going to do navigating Warner Brothers. So this is what she said, okay? But I look forward to bringing my style and my perspective into the culture at Warner Brothers. A style that's collaborative, respectful of talent, of knowing of who's smart and who to listen to. So I like that, and I hope she really does do that, that she's ready to collaborate with creative artists, the creatives, in order to create a product, and respect them enough to know that they're not just going to chop up their work for the zeitgeist. No, they won't chop up the work because their two daughters wouldn't want to watch that. Not all movies are for their two daughters to want to watch it. And I'm playfully poking jabs at Toby Emmerich and what he said in his interview about Aquaman, how it should relate to the zeitgeist, and how he lets it would be something his two daughters have to want to watch. If you make movies just for that, then don't go to Disney, because that's what Disney's for daughters and their princesses and stuff like that, right? So I hope that she's going to bring her sensibilities into Warner Brothers in a strong way, in a way that could change Toby Emmerich mainly, right? And to have that collaborative, respectful of talent and knowing who's smart and who to listen to. Who will she listen to, or if they will listen to her? You know, I hope she puts her foot down. That's what I'm thinking. But that's me being optimistic. You don't have to believe it. I will only truly believe it until I see some action that's at play. But I am very curious and very optimistic. More optimistic now than before. When Kevin Tsujihara and Toby Emmerich was in the house, I was like, nothing's. I'm hoping something can happen, but they really had it tight knit. And when John Stankin came in, it was still tight knit. But once Kevin Tsujihara was gone, I was like, okay, there's some breathing room there. But then now we're realizing that Toby Emmerich was probably the mastermind of this whole thing, right? And so he's still there. He's one left to go, one more to go. The last person, that old regime that made those decisions, and I think he's the biggest one that made those decisions, and he has got to either change his mind or he has to go in order for us to ever see the Snyder Cut. So that is that article, and it's a big draw. I think it made a lot of noise today. It's fantastic. Hopefully we'll continue that up, but at least if we could get at least, a quarter of that 14 mil, what is it, 13.8 million followers to even like it and research into the Snyder Cut even more, that will go a long way. I mean, we've reached 5,000 subscribers, followers for the RT Snyder Cut, and it's still going up as we speak, as people are going into it more. The GoFundMe page has updated to over $25,000 so far, and Will Rowlands had put this out where, and I'll link I'll link this update to the description below because I think it's pretty important. Apparently, there are many international countries that are not able to donate to this campaign because of currency-related issues. So he has created a PayPal account for this campaign so that you can donate, and he will in turn throw that money into this GoFundMe. So there are the following countries that can donate directly right now is this: Australia, Austria, Belgium, Canada, Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Ireland, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, the United Kingdom, and of course, the United States of America. If you're not on this list and you wish to donate, please visit please visit the PayPal account, and I'll put it down below. Release the Snyder Cut 214@gmail.com. Email that to know how to donate. I know there's no Asia. There is no Asia in there. So I am, there's a lot of Asian people who probably want to do that as well. Also other countries as well. So please email release the Snyder Cut 214@gmail.com to find out how you can contribute to this giant campaign that is being looked at. And I'm expecting this thing to blow up even more. We're also looking at Conan. Conan O'Brien is going to be attending the San Diego Comic-Con once again. So hopefully he stops by or looks at what they're doing for Project Comic-Con team. That'd be fantastic. That will get a little bit more word out as well. At least that drive that interest level, that curiosity for people like, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing another alternative edit of the Justice League, although we know in our circle that it's the true edit. But it's okay if they think it's an alternative edit. They're curious anyway, right? So hopefully we can spread the word that way as well. Level 5 is getting closer and closer, so hopefully we get to reach that point of 35,300 100 gold. But if we don't, it's an amazing achievement anyway. My God, $25,000. Hope it's gonna be crazy. So another thing I wanted to share in regards to the release of Snyder Cut is that McD has put out a new streamlined Release the Snyder Cut survey. Before, the survey was pretty long, but it was very informative and is very, if you had time to go through it. But I guess he understands that we need something a little bit more streamlined, more quick. So 2 taps to register your interest and hit submit. That's it. Optional, you can leave a message of support for Zack Snyder. Positive supporters may appear in our virtual wall of heroes when the Snyder Cut is released. So be sure to check that out if you haven't already. If you were kind of like taken aback by how many questions were on the survey before, please visit it now. I'm going to link this survey in the description below. Check it out. All you have, there's just 2 things. I mean, I'm going to do it right now while on the air to just tell you what it says. All it says there, register interest and click submit below. It says, I would like to see Zack Snyder's Director's Cut of Justice League. Click on that. There's 2 options if you want to write anything. If not, submit, and that is it. That's all you have to do. So please go and do that. It could go out in the ways of showing how much more people are in support of it. And it could add to those analytics that apparently is needed to show Warner Brothers, Warner Brothers, that there is a need for the Snyder Cut and a want for the Snyder Cut. And of course, everything that it represents. But hands to McD, to the Project Comic-Con team, to putting all this together and continuing to move forward in this event that we're trying to accomplish and get Warner Brothers to release the Snyder Cut and everything it stands for. I think this is a great movement. I mean, this is a biggest movement for a cut that has ever been taken place. I believe this has been the biggest, as big as in everything, and the interest in this cut has been the biggest interest in this cut in the history of director's cuts. It has ever gotten this level, and it has been legendary in its way. In fact, the mainstay of this has been long over anything other superhero movie has ever been made, and I'm proud to be part of it, and I'm sure you all are proud to be part of it. And let's get this Snyder Cut release, guys. Let's keep fighting. Let's keep moving forward. We're moving the ticks. We're one step closer with this Washington Post article. Very excited to find out what happens when Ann Sarnoff gets in the officially position of power, and see what happens with that. So in any case, San Diego Comic-Con is the next thing coming up. Please, if you could, donate to Project Comic-Con. If not, just share it to people who don't know about the Snyder Cut, who educate them about what the Snyder Cut is. Tell them what happened. Have them feel empathetic, and you should feel empathetic for the cast and crew members that work so hard for the film, and for the creatives, and for the future of artistic creative integrities for future films. If you believe in that, then you have to believe in the Snyder Cut as well. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for subscribing, and thank you so much for watching and listening. I'll see you next time.